A passenger's grandmother dies. They need a flight to the funeral, and before booking it, they ask the chat window on the airline's website whether there is a cheaper rate for a death in the family. The chat window answers right away. Yes, book the full fare now, then send the ticket in within 90 days of it being issued, and claim the difference back. So they book, they pay full price, they claim, and the airline says that rule does not exist. It never existed. Nobody wrote it, nobody approved it, nobody ever offered it. The machine made it up in a calm, helpful, completely believable voice. The passenger is Jake Moffat. The airline is Air Canada. This ended up in front of a Canadian tribunal in 2024, where Moffat sued for negligent misrepresentation, and Air Canada made the argument everybody now remembers. Its position, it could not be liable for information given by one of its own agents, servants, or representatives, including a chatbot. It did not explain why. The tribunal member's summary of that submission was blunt. In effect, he wrote, Air Canada is suggesting the chatbot is a separate legal entity, responsible for its own actions. So, 3 things by the end of this. What one of these invented answers actually is, why you cannot train it out of the machine, and the 3 controls teams put around it, because banks are putting this same machine in front of their own customers right now. So, first principles. A hallucination is an answer that is fluent, confident, and simply not true, and that was never in any source to begin with. That last part is what separates it from an ordinary mistake. A stale fact came from somewhere. A typo came from somewhere. This came from nowhere. The 90-day claim back was not a policy the machine misread. It was a policy-shaped sentence the machine assembled, because it sounded exactly like the kind of thing an airline would write. Here is the mechanism, and it is simpler than the word hallucination makes it sound. A language model does not look anything up. It writes text one piece at a time, and it picks each piece because it is statistically likely to follow what came before. That is the whole trick. Nothing inside that process compares the sentence against the world. Truth-checking only happens if you build it around the model. Fluent and true are 2 different targets, and the model on its own is aiming at one of them. And then we made it worse. In September 2025, researchers at OpenAI and Georgia Tech published a paper called Why Language Models Hallucinate. Their argument, the way we train and grade these systems rewards guessing over admitting uncertainty. Picture the tests we score them on as a multiple-choice exam. Say, I don't know, and you score nothing, guaranteed. Guess, and you are sometimes right. Their line is that these models are like students facing hard exam questions. We did not accidentally build something that bluffs. We graded it into bluffing. Here is what a smart, busy banker assumes at this point. Fine, we will handle it in the instructions. Tell the model not to invent anything. Tell it to say when it does not know, buy the bigger version next year, and this goes away. It does not. Every one of those helps at the margin, and not one of them removes it, because inventing plausible text is not a fault bolted onto the machine. It is the same ability that lets it draft your email in the first place, which means the control cannot live inside the model. It has to live in the process around it. Now move that machine into a bank. The invented sentence is not about a plane ticket anymore. It is a fee that does not exist, a limit nobody approved, an eligibility rule nobody wrote. And this is not a fringe worry. ESMA, the EU securities regulator, put it in writing back in 2024. These tools are known to hallucinate and to produce outputs that are factually incorrect even if they sound realistic and accurate. Nor is it only customer chat. In October 2025, Deloitte repaid the final installment of a report worth about 440,000 Australian dollars after it was found to cite academic work that did not exist. So how many banks have been fined over an answer like this? So far, none. The liability showed up first in a small claims tribunal. So back to the tribunal, which answered that submission in 2 sentences worth reading twice. It should be obvious to Air Canada that it is responsible for all the information on its website. It makes no difference whether the information comes from a static page or a chatbot. Moffat was awarded 812 Canadian dollars. The money is nothing. The principle is not. Your chatbot is not a supplier you can point at when it goes wrong. It is your website, saying your words, and everything it tells a customer is something you said. Europe wrote a rule for the moment a machine starts talking to your customer. Article 50 of the AI Act. From the 2nd of August, 2026, a system built to interact directly with people has to be designed so the person is informed they are dealing with an AI system, unless that is already obvious. And notice who carries it: the provider. A bank that builds its own chatbot and puts it into service under its own name is the provider. Then the part that catches people out. You have heard the AI Act got delayed, and it did. The digital omnibus moved the high-risk obligations, the ones covering things like credit scoring, out to December 2027. This date did not move. So how do teams typically approach this? Three things, and not one of them is a cleverer model. 1. Grounding. The system answers only out of the institution's own approved documents and shows which one it used, so an answer with no source attached is not an answer. That reduces wrong answers. It does not eliminate them, and anyone who says otherwise is selling something. 2. The evidence trail. What the customer asked and what the system replied gets logged and kept, because on the day somebody disputes it, that transcript is the only fact in the room. 3. Human sign-off. Anything that would commit the bank, a rate, a refund, an eligibility promise, passes a person first. So rewind Jake Moffat's chat and run it again with those 3 rules in place. The system answers only out of the published bereavement policy, and the 90-day claim back is not in there, so it is far less likely to be written at all. If it appears anyway, it arrives attached to the clause it came from, and the clause says the opposite. And if it still promises money, a person sees it before the customer does. Same model, same question, same tendency to invent. Completely different outcome purely because of what was built around it. One line to take away. These systems are built to be fluent, and fluency is not evidence. A confident answer with nothing behind it is not a small quality problem. It is an unapproved statement your institution just made to a customer in writing. Treat the model as a very articulate colleague who will never once tell you they are not sure, and design for that. If briefs like this are useful, the free RegAI brief newsletter goes to people doing exactly this work inside banks. Link is below. Thanks for watching.